Does this mean I'm Team Batman? Probably. Could be. No, I just don't have a Superman shirt right now. Sorry guys, so it looks like gonna be Team Batman for this video. Anyway, hey there guys, what's up? What's going on? It is Autobot Mike 18 here, back with another movie review. And this time I'm gonna be reviewing one of the biggest... Wow, this movie was anticipated. I was anticipating it. Every single person who's a comic book fan, every single person who has followed these characters for years and years and years. I'm talking like people who grew up when they first read the comics. Everybody and their mother was going to go see Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. That is right, guys. We have finally got a release for Batman v Superman. The first time in the history of cinema that Batman and Superman are together on the big screen fighting each other. We've never seen that before in a live-action movie, and now we're getting it. Can you imagine the hype for this movie? It was real. Yeah, no, seriously, it was. And I myself was I was on the hype train. I'll raise my hand and say, yeah, I was really, really anticipating this. I was blown away when, you know, during the different, like, announcements of, like, oh, like, this is who's in the movie, this is, you know, this is the title of the movie, you know, this is setting up the Justice League and everything. I got really excited. Everybody lost their crap when Ben Affleck was cast, but we'll get into that. But anyway, guys, Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. Was it good? That's the question, okay? They got a lot of characters in this movie. You got Wonder Woman, you got Lex Luthor. How are they going to juggle all these characters in one movie? Did they fail? Did they succeed? We'll find out. Before I get into anything, any of my thoughts on the movie or anything, first off, no spoilers. I never spoil. You guys know me. I don't do that. I'm not mean. And if I do spoil, I will leave a spoiler warning. But no spoilers, and let me get into the basic plot synopsis of the movie, which is going to take me a while to get a summary together or something. Something concise, anything like that. It's gonna be tough, but I'll try to do it. I'll try to give you a nice summation of the movie. It's, you know what, it's Batman and Superman. That's it. That's the movie. All right, there you go. That's the plot line. It's Batman fighting Superman with Lex Luthor. There you go. There's your movie. That's it. Okay, let's get serious here. Basically, guys, Batman v Superman, which is directed by Zack Snyder, who directed Man of Steel, which I'll talk about in a little bit, because I know a lot of people got some mixed feelings on that one. You can't win everything. But Zack Snyder is back in the director's seat directing Batman v Superman. And this time around, we are focusing not only on Superman, because this is a sequel to Man of Steel, but we're also focusing on the introduction of Batman. And here's where our two characters lie at this point. Batman has grown to become this vigilante. He's apparently been doing this for years and years and years of Gotham. Of course, we know the story of Batman. We've seen 3 Dark Knight movies up there. Yeah, so we get the idea. But Batman is totally not having anything that Superman's about. The basic public, for the most part, looks at Superman as sort of this, like, god figure. He saved them all from Zod in the Battle of Metropolis, which tore apart half the city and killed thousands. And Batman just doesn't, or Bruce Wayne specifically, doesn't really see why everybody's idolizing him so much. He sees him as this, like, alien-ish figure who, you know, they need to, you know, not be associated with, essentially. He doesn't see what everybody else sees in Batman, so he wants to take care of that. He wants to take care of Superman. And Superman, on the other hand, is dealing with all this, like, political stuff. He's getting a lot of heat from the Supreme Court, from everybody who lost their lives, or everybody else in the Metropolis battle, everybody who does not see him as this god that, you know, the general public sees him as, or, you know, he's going to take some hate on it. And his alter ego persona, Clark Kent, wants to really write a story for the Daily Planet, or focus on the Bat Vigilante that's going around Gotham. And that's Batman, of course. So that's really where the two characters lie. They don't care for each other. He obviously doesn't agree with everything that Batman's involved in. Batman does this thing where he'll take like his Bat logo and just like brand somebody, okay? He'll just leave this like implanted mark on their chest or something. Like any criminals. They're criminals, of course. But Superman doesn't really agree with that. So I really liked that dynamic and that setup of where these two characters are and why they're going to go into conflict with one another. And I thought that worked really well. And then, of course, we have Mastermind Creep. I'll call him a creep. Lex Luthor, played by Jesse Eisenberg. Oh, everybody loved that casting announcement, am I right? And he is obviously the mastermind who's trying to pit these two together, get them to fight and kill each other at the same time for reasons. That's Batman v Superman for you guys. There you have it. That's what I'll describe the movie. There you go. So, time to give my thoughts. Yeah, Batman and Superman, they fought a lot. It was cool. The action was great. I loved it. That part of it. Ben Affleck, good job, buddy. Really good job. Yeah, that was everything that was great with the movie. What I didn't care for with the movie, where do I start? Alright guys, here, I really hate to do this. Guys, let me just cut down, let me just get to the point. Let me just cut to the chase. I can't believe I'm saying this. Yeah, Batman v Superman, it was okay. It was good. The action was good. It wasn't that great, guys. Alright, yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. Wow. Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice is a big disappointment. This is one of the biggest disappointments I've probably seen in quite some time. Yeah, with all of the hype and everything that was surrounding this movie, all the anticipation I had for this movie, yeah, I really wanted more. I left the theater, I still wanted more. When I say more, I mean better more. That was what we got with Batman v Superman. Just sort of average, sort of, yeah, okay, average superhero movie-ish. No, that's not what we deserved. We did not get the Batman and Superman movie that I think we all deserved as a public. As a fan of, as comic book fans and movie lovers like myself, that's not what we got. And yeah, Alright guys, yeah, let me get into the problems, the very many problems with Batman v Superman. You know what, actually, before I do that, let me say what's good, okay? Because I gotta sell this movie in some way and say, yeah, you can see it for this, but in the end, ultimately, I'm gonna tell you guys to probably skip it and wait, or yeah, of course, see it on the big screen because it's Batman and Superman, but just be aware that it's not that great and you're not gonna love it like we should have loved it. But what you will love about this movie is just the action, okay? The fight sequences are great. They're grand. They're grandiose. There's more destruction, okay? So anybody who was on the train that complained about Superman destroying so much shit in this movie, it's going to happen again in this one. However, a lot less people die. But when Batman and Superman fight, it's the coolest shit ever, okay? The action sequences are well choreographed. There's a lot. They're long. They last long. They're exciting. They get your blood pumping. They're fun as hell. Okay? That's the takeaway from this movie. The CGI, there's an abundance of CGI. Does it look bad? No, it looks good for the most part. It's serviceable, it's fine. The other thing I want to get into, apart from action and everything, casting-wise, a lot of people were worried about two actors in particular. I'll talk about one of them now, I'll talk about the other one later. But a lot of people were worried about Ben Affleck as Batman because we like, Henry Cavill was in Man of Steel, and people either liked him or were like kind of on the fence. I don't think anybody like hated him as Superman. Personally, I liked him. I thought he fit the role. I thought he just like had that Superman look, you know what I mean? And he brought the charisma and everything that Superman should bring, and he felt like Superman to me. So I bought that. I bought him in this movie, and I think Henry Cavill is still a really good choice for Superman, and I think that I like where they honestly took Superman's character, because I really wanted to see what were the effects of the Metropolis battle. All that destruction and everything. How is that going to affect Superman mentally, but how is it going to affect his relationship with the public? And I really like how they delved into that aspect in this movie and explored that. I thought that was really, really well done. Now, Batman, I was a lot more worried about because they have to introduce us to a whole new Batman character in 2.5 hours. And I was really worried about that, but I actually think they pulled it off quite for the most part. I'm still on the train saying that they should have given us a Batman solo film. I know another one, a lot of people are like, not another Batman origin story, but look, Spider-Man did it, so they should have done it with Batman. With Ben Affleck as Batman, introduced him, or at some point getting involved in all this, and then you could have shaved some of the runtime off Batman v Superman, and had more time for the actual Batman versus Superman, okay? You know what I mean? But that being said, I think Ben Affleck killed it as Batman in this movie. I think he did a really kick-ass job. I was really, really impressed with him. I remember the day when they announced that he was going to get cast. Initially, I didn't say this on camera, but I filmed a video saying, yeah, these are my thoughts on that. And I said, I don't know what to think. I haven't seen footage yet. But deep down, I was like, I don't see this working at all. But then I saw set photos and everything, and I saw him in the costume, and I was like, all right, I buy this. And then watching the movie, he is one of the best parts of this movie. He's got the voice, he's got that look of Batman. That I know he's got like the deep voice changer in the movie, but that only adds to it. He's got like the 5 o'clock shadow scruff and everything that just makes him feel like this different kind of Batman that we haven't seen before with what Christian Bale gave us with The Dark Knight. And I really like Ben Affleck's take on Batman. I thought he was one of the most interesting parts of the movie. I really got that like dark and grim, mysterious aspects of Batman that we've gotten a little bit, that we got it in Nolan's trilogy. We got it again in this, and I really like that. I thought it worked very well, actually. And then another thing that I really loved about this portrayal of Batman, and this really wasn't more so Ben Affleck, but just the writing of the character. I love how we got into more of like his gadgets and his armory, and he's more like inventive, and he invents all these like gadgets and everything. The freaking bat belt, everything, like all of his little tools and everything. His tools to take down Superman. I loved how they explored that, or at least showed the process of him making that stuff. So good job, movie. But Ben Affleck definitely did a great job as Batman. And if they were to make any more films in this series, in this DC universe, I'm totally down with Ben Affleck as Batman. Don't recast, don't ruin it. He's doing a good job. I think he can pull it off. I'm happy to see where he goes. The rest of the cast is fine. There's one actor in particular I'll single out in a second, but Gal Gadot was another one I wasn't sure. I was skeptical of as Wonder Woman. And although we don't see a ton of her as Wonder Woman, except for like the last like 20 minutes of the movie, we see a lot of her alter ego, which I missed the name actually as I watched the movie. I didn't hear them say her name once. I don't know why. Maybe they did and I just missed it. But we saw a lot of her, and we got into where she is as a character in this movie, how she's tying into everything slowly but surely, and I liked that, how they're like laying the groundwork for that. And I know we're gonna get a Wonder Woman solo movie. I think we also should have gotten that before this. So that's just a problem with release dates and releasing these big movies to tie into this universe. So that's my problem with that. But yeah, she was cool, she was attractive, she worked as Wonder Woman. Worked. Congratulations. So I won't get into anything. Everybody else is from Man of Steel, so they were all fine in their roles. There was nothing huge. I'll get into Jesse Eisenberg later. What I want to get into right now is what doesn't work with this movie at all for me, guys. That was everything I loved about the movie, and that was me trying to find the best parts of this movie. Everything else that doesn't work in this movie involves how everything is written and how everything was cut together. Because, man oh man, this is one of the most messiest and jumbled and just convoluted superhero movies I've seen in quite some time. Everything felt as if it was just literally thrown together in such a sloppy way. The transitions from scene to scene are terrible in my opinion, guys. There's nothing to, like like it's like we follow a group of characters in one scene, and then it literally cuts to other character and another character and then another, and it's cutting back to all these different characters, and then it comes back to the first character we were with, and we were like, wait a second, what are they doing now? What is their involvement? I literally forgot what happened, because they're throwing all of this information at you and all of these scenes, and it's just such a mess, guys. It really, really is, and that's honestly what upset me the most. The first 50 minutes of this movie were almost unbearable for me because of how much they were just trying to shove down our throats in terms of setup and build-up. They're trying to set up all of these characters, set up their plots, their feelings, what their goals are and everything. And it's done in such a rushed and messy way. Introductions to characters are bad, and I really did not care for that in this movie. Then there is one incident that happens midway in the movie at a hearing in the Supreme Court. I'm not going to spoil it, but right after that I was hooked into the movie. I got into it. I was invested into the story, and then I started falling out of it a little bit again. Even in some of the action scenes, I was like, I'm not feeling the excitement, the tension when Batman is fighting Superman. You want to know why? Because the movie did a very poor job of setting up this conflict that the trailers did a better job of, except the one that spoiled the whole movie. The trailers establish why Batman is mad at Superman, why Superman is sort of against Batman. And the movie does that, but then it doesn't elaborate further on why they're after each other. Lex Luthor's motives, not there at all. I struggled to try to find why Lex Luthor was so hell-bent on pitting the two of them against each other. They're all of his like metaphors of like, oh, like, you know, like these god figures or like devils or whatever, all of his like crap and all that. I was trying to figure out why he wanted Batman and Superman to kill each other. I don't know. I still don't know why, and I don't get it. I really don't. It's just I couldn't get into the action sequences, which were so awesome and cool, because I didn't feel the stakes. They weren't high, and the tension wasn't real because I wasn't into these characters, because the movie did a very poor job of setting them all up, setting up their predicaments and their problems, and that's why I couldn't get into this movie like I really, really wanted to, and that's why it ended up falling really flat for me. I think that this movie, there's a 3-hour cut of this movie on Blu-ray that's coming out on Blu-ray. I think they should have just released a 3-hour cut, in all honesty, because the way you can tell from the way that the scenes are transitioning, you're like, so much is missing here. And that's just a big fault in the editing, and that's why Batman v Superman did not really work for me. I would have been happy with a 3-hour Batman v Superman movie, a good Batman v Superman movie that fills in all those missing gaps where you're like, okay, that's where this happens, that's where this happens. I understand why this character's doing that. I have better understanding of what's going on. And the other big problem with this movie is the fact that they're just cramming in all of these stories in this one movie that's just so messy and overstuffed, just to set up for the Justice League, and that you do not do. You build that up over several standalone movies, and I really would hate to compare this to Marvel, but I'm just going to say this. Marvel did it right with building their universe. They gave us Thor, they gave us Iron Man, they gave us all these separate movies, and then they did the team-up movie. And this isn't really a team-up movie. This is just a movie with a lot of characters, but you could have established these characters in prior films, and that is what the DC Universe did not do right. Batman v Superman should have came out in 2 years, and I think that we should have gotten all of these movies now. A Wonder Woman movie, a solo Batman movie, and maybe another Man of Steel sequel or something like that. I don't know. And then we get the Batman versus Superman. We get that fight. We get Lex Luthor trying to pit them against each other. And then we get that third villain that comes into the plot in the end, in the final act, which I'm not going to spoil or anything. I don't want to give it away, even though the trailers did. But yeah, you do not just cram Justice League setup in the movie where you're putting Batman and Superman together. And I know their team-up movie is coming. DC's team-up movie is coming in the Justice League, which is going to be in 2 parts. But the problem is, you have already so many characters that have not been developed. You're introducing so many characters in this movie, a Man of Steel sequel, and all of them are getting outweighted by each other. They're just getting canceled out because every other character needs importance. That's why I didn't feel like this movie had a focus. There was no one character to focus on, when I think they should have picked one. And I know they were trying to keep it, you know, Batman or Superman. Which side are you on? But beyond that, I didn't feel anything for any of the other characters, or I didn't feel like they had a lot of weight or, involvement in the story, and I think they needed more, and I think that's why this movie ended up suffering. They literally stopped the Batman and Superman storyline halfway through to give us Justice League exposition and show us that they're coming and that Lex Luthor, his corporation, is involved with the Justice League characters, all them. And I just didn't like that at all. I didn't like how they handled that, honestly. So that is where Batman v Superman didn't work for me, guys. For a movie titled Batman v Superman, I wanted more to be established with the Batman and Superman conflict. I really, really did. I wanted to feel that. I wanted to feel the weight of their struggle. I wanted to really feel their fight sequence, because while it was awesome, I didn't get into it because I was like, the stakes aren't high. I really still don't understand 100% why they're pitted against each other. What is the driving force that... I didn't feel like there was a driving force or a scene that made me say, yeah, Batman and Superman have to fight. And what is in the movie that helps drive their conflict forward is really dumb, and it just felt weak in my opinion. It just didn't feel like it was strong enough to really pit these two against each other, and I didn't buy it at all. And what resolves their conflict? Obviously, there's always a conflict resolution in every story. What is the resolution to the fight between Batman v Superman? I hated it. I didn't like it at all. It was so corny, and I didn't buy it at all. I didn't buy it and that's probably because these characters were not fully established, and we needed more scenes with them before we get into this big fight sequence and before we actually care about that. So that is what didn't work for Batman v Superman. Oh, and Jesse Eisenberg. Jesse Eisenberg, of course, as well. Jesse Eisenberg, from the day one, I was skeptical, but I was like, all right, I'll hold out for him. Maybe he can do something with it. He came off as a cartoon. It did not work at all. I did not like him as Lex Luthor. We still have not seen... Kevin Spacey was great as Lex Luthor, but we haven't... I don't think we've seen a good iteration of Lex Luthor in terms of the character on the big screen. I mean, there were moments in this movie towards the end where people were laughing at how bad, in my theater, at how bad Jesse Eisenberg was. Or not how bad he was specifically, just what they had written for this character and just how Jesse Eisenberg was portraying it. It just didn't work at all, guys. Trust me. Yeah, and I just really think this was just a mess. That is the one word to describe Batman v Superman. Just a big, giant, $250 million budget mess. And that's where it came crashing down for me. Again, the fight sequences and everything are cool. And Zack Snyder, he's a good director and everything, but I just think he had way too much to handle in this movie. And because of that, the movie ended up faltering for me. That's how I feel. I really want... Believe me, I wanted to come out of this movie saying, I'm set. I can't wait for a DC Universe movie. I'm there. I'm buying tickets already. So there you have it, guys. That's my thoughts on Batman v Superman. I just really think they tried to cram everything into the movie. Just another example of how scenes don't transition well. There's a moment where Superman gets blamed for something. Okay, like, oh, we're gonna accuse him of this. Or, he gets framed for something. And we don't see Superman for 3 more scenes. Then we see Clark Kent in exile, just in this, frozen tundra place. This really isn't a spoiler. It's just what happens in the movie. And I was like, wait, what? So he's in exile now? Really? Okay, well, I would have loved the scene where he's just struggling to deal with what just happened, just on Superman or Clark Kent, whatever, and he's just dealing with that, and then he goes into exile. Just a great example of why things felt missing in this movie. And that is just, I don't know, that's just what didn't work for me. And if they would have cut out 3 or 4 of the dreams, or if they would have cut out 3 of the 4 or 5 dream sequences we got in this movie, maybe we would have had more time for other stuff. Because I don't understand the relevance of any of the dream sequences that are in this movie at all. Yeah, just to give further complaints. I know it sounds like I'm bashing this movie. I'm sorry, guys. I really, really am. There are some badass moments. There are some awesome sequences, but story comes first, and the story was a jumbled, convoluted mess where they tried to cram everything down your throats, set up for a Justice League movie, all in a 2.5-hour runtime, and it's just not enough time. And the way that the film is edited together, it feels like just so much stuff is missing, and there's not enough backbone to the story or to the characters and their development and their involvement in the story. I needed more. I wanted more. I left the theater just really, really upset. And I went to 3 different theaters because I went Friday night to see this movie, opening night. The first 2 theaters I went to, they were all sold out. That is how much the hype was for this movie, just to give you guys an idea. And then I went to a final theater, and I finally got a showtime, and I was really, really disappointed with it. So, guys, those are my thoughts on Batman v Superman. I know, I'm so bummed out. This was not what I wanted it to be. I'm pretty sure a lot of you wanted it to go a different way as well, and it just didn't. Okay, so there you have it, guys. In the end, to give Batman v Superman a grade, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I'm going to give Batman v Superman a grade of a 7 out of 10 or a C-. I gave that to London Has Fallen, guys. London Has Fallen, a generic sequel, action sequel. I gave the same grade. That's pathetic. I was going to give it lower, but then I said, wait a second, I can't give this lower than London Has Fallen. Come on. So I gave it the same exact grade. This is more entertaining than London Has Fallen in that sense, but London Has Fallen in a way, its story worked a little bit more because at least it had a focus. This movie didn't. So that's why I just didn't get all that behind Batman v Superman. I wanted to, guys. I really did. Maybe I got to see it again. Maybe that'll help me. And I just want to see the director's cut because I want to see all the missing scenes really at this point. So there you have it, guys. Those are my thoughts on Batman v Superman. I hope you guys enjoyed my review. I hope you guys don't kill me in the comments. I know some of you have the same exact feeling as me. I'm not giving it a fresh grade because there were problems with it. There were blatant problems. So there you go. Guys, thank you as always so much for watching. I'm sorry this review ran so late. It happens. Thank you as always, guys, and I will see you in my next video. Also, let me know down below what you thought on Batman v Superman. Was it good? Was it crap? Was it terrible crap? Was it one of the worst superhero movies ever? What do you think? Was it just a big letdown, or do you think there could be room for improvement? What do you think for the DC Universe now? What's going to happen next? There you have it, guys. Thank you as always for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye-bye, guys.